convenient place for the bullies to hang out to find their next victims. The teacher says teasing counts as bullying too, but I don't think there's any way they're gonna put a stop to that. Kids are always calling each other names and that kind of thing at my school. In fact, one of the reasons I try to stay under the radar is because I don't want to end up getting stuck with the nickname like Cody Johnson did. In kindergarten, Cody stepped in some dog poop at recess, and ever since then, people have called him Dookie. And I'm not just talking about other kids either. I'm talking about the teachers and even the principal. I'll tell you this. If I ever get a nickname like Dookie, I'll move to a different town. But what would probably happen is that someone from my old school would move to my new town and the whole thing would just start back up again. The teachers always say that when you're getting picked on, you should tell teachers. I think that's a good idea, but it didn't work out so well when I was getting bullied. There was this kid who lived in the neighborhood next to mine, and for some reason, everyone called him Nasty Pants. Every time me and my friend Rolly went through Nasty Pants' neighborhood, he chased us with a stick. The thing that really stung was that me and Rolly used the woods in the neighborhood as a shortcut to get to school. So we started having to go out of our way to avoid getting harassed by Nasty Pants. But we did exactly what the teachers are always telling us to do and complained to the vice principal. But vice principal said that ever since Nasty Pants didn't go to our school, there was nothing he could really do about it. After getting chased a few more times, I decided I had enough. So I told Dad about the situation. I was afraid Dad was gonna say I need to toughen up and deal with the problem myself, but he surprised me. Dad said that he had problems with the bully at my age and he knew just what I was going through. That boy was named Billy Staples, and Billy's favorite thing to do was pin a kid's arm behind his back and hold it there until he cried. Dad said that the kids in the neighborhood told their parents about Billy and they all went to Billy's house to confront his mom and dad. Mr. Staples made Billy promise to never pick up on anyone ever again, and Dad said Billy burst into tears and might have even wet his pants. Well, after hearing that story, I don't think Billy Staples would have been any match for Nasty Pants, but I told Dad I liked the idea of complaining to the bully's parents. I called up Rolly and told him to come over and bring his dad because we needed as much backup as we could get. Dad knocked on Nasty Pants' door and we waited for one of his parents to open it. But Nasty Pants himself came to the door and me and Rolly took off. I guess I should have described Nasty Pants to Dad because it took him a while to understand that the kid who came to the door was the one who was causing us all that trouble. Dad talked to Mrs. Pants and she told Dad her son was only 5 and that he just gets a little wound up sometimes. On the way home, Dad was pretty mad at me for letting myself get bullied by a kid who was still in kindergarten. But let myself just say in my defense that when some kid is chasing you with a stick, you don't stop to ask him how old he is. Tuesday. Then took the last piece of playground equipment away at school today. We started off the year with all sorts of things like monkey bars and swings and stuff, but now the playground is an empty sawdust pit. So recess is basically like a prison yard. I heard the school was having trouble paying the insurance for the playground, so every time there was some kind of accident or injury or a piece of equipment, the easiest thing to do was just remove it. In October, Francis Knott went flying off the swing set and landed on the seesaw. So that took out the two big items right there. We lost the monkey bars when a girl named Christina Higgins climbed to the top and then got too scared to come down. The teachers aren't allowed to touch kids, so they had to call Christine's parents to come and get her. Eventually, the only piece of equipment left was the balance beam, and I figured nobody could get hurt on that thing. But believe it or not, some idiot wasn't looking where he was going the other day, so now that's gone too. Without any playground equipment, there's really nothing for us to do, but the teachers won't even let us sit down because they say we have to stay active. And it's not like you're allowed to bring in toys or video games to keep yourself occupied either. In fact, if you get caught with a toy on the playground, it'll get confiscated. Last week, somebody found a miniature car buried in the sawdust that looked like it had been there for years. The car had three missing wheels, but people were so desperate for entertainment that they lined up to play with it while others kept lookout. Now there's a black market for toys at our school. Christopher Stengel brought in a bunch of Lego from home yesterday, and I heard a single brick will set you back 50 cents. The teachers have banned a bunch of games we used to play too. Last week, a group of boys were playing free stack, but one of them got hurt when someone shoved him from behind. So now we're not allowed to touch each other or even run. Today, people were playing air tag and getting around by speed walking, but it wasn't really the same. If you ask me, I think people are getting too carried away with all this safety stuff. I went to many soccer game and all the children had to wear bicycle helmets. The only good thing about the playground equipment being gone is that now I actually have a chance to get started doing well in school. I'm one of those people who had a hard time focusing when the teacher is talking and other classes having recess right outside the window. It's practically impossible to pay attention. Wednesday. Okay, I take back what I said. I said about being glad the playground equipment is gone out. The kids at recess don't have anything to do, so they just stare in through the windows. And that's seriously distracting when you're trying to take a test. It doesn't help that I'm not exactly the fastest test taker. In third grade, I had a teacher named Mrs. Sinclair who taught us all these great tricks for remember multiplication facts, but they seriously slowed me down. Early this year, we had a math teacher named Mr. Sparks who used to stand on his chair every time he wanted us to remember something important. But once, when Mr. Sparks was trying to get us to remember a math concept, one of his legs chair broken and he fell. Mr. Sparks broke his collarbone and I heard his swing the school over it. I don't remember the concept he was trying to teach us that day, but I do always remember never to stand on the furniture. During recess today, everyone was just waiting to go back inside, and then Rolly got up and started skipping around the playground. A few people started cheering and clapping. They must have thought Rolly was protesting against all the new rules by skipping instead of running, but the truth is, skipping is just something Rolly likes to do. For some reason, it gets on my nerves when Rolly skips, so it bugged me to see him prancing around the playground like that. Skipping is actually a real sore subject between the two of us. Rolly says I'm jealous of him because I don't know how to skip, but I think it just looks stupid. I will admit that I never exactly got to hang of skipping. In fact, I was the only kid in first grade who couldn't do that. I was afraid that I'd be held back until I learned how to skip, but luckily they let me move on the second grade. Still, I'm worried it's gonna come back to haunt me or later. Sometimes I wonder how me and Rolly ended up being friends in the first place since we are so different. But at this point, I figure we are stuck with each other. So I just try to overlook the things he does that annoy me. Thursday, the thing that stings about having Santa Scout watching me every move at school home is that I can't get away with the things I used to do during holidays. A few years ago, Mom and Dad put some gifts under the tree a week before Christmas, and it was driving me crazy not knowing what was in there. One of the gifts had my name on it, and I was pretty sure that it was a video game. I made a tiny little tear in the wrapping papers to see and make sure and it was a game I'd asked for, but then it was bugging me that a game I wanted was sitting right here under the tree and I couldn't play it. So I went one step further and made a slit along the top of the packing and slid the box out. I opened the plastic case and removed the game, then put the box back in the wrapping paper and taped it close. But I started to get paranoid that Mom was gonna pick up the present and noted it felt lighter, so I opened it back and put one of Roderick's heavy metal CDs inside the box to make sure it's the same way as it was before. I played the video game every night after Mom and Dad went to bed, and I actually beat it. But I forgot to put it back in the box, and on Christmas Day, when I opened my present in front of Mom and Dad, Roderick's CD slipped out and rolled off to the floor. The day after Christmas, Mom took the CD to the game hut and chewed the clerk out of the ceiling her material that was inappropriate for kids. I just don't like not knowing what I'm getting for Christmas, and sometimes I can't help myself. Last year I went on Mom's email account and wrote over to all our relatives to see if I could find out what were getting me. But Mom keeps her email on the computer in the kitchen, and it's hard to get onto her account when Santa's account is watching me like a hawk. Tonight, I spent some time trying to decide what to put on my Christmas wish list this year. I tried to be as specific as possible when I make my list because whenever I leave my gifts up to Mom and Dad, I get some crazy stuff. A few years ago, I forgot to write out a wish list and I paid a price for it. Mom was pregnant with Manny and she wanted me to get ready for having a brave brother. So for Christmas, Mom got me a doll. At first, I didn't want anything to do with it. Then I realized having a doll you could feed come in handy. In fact, I don't like a vegetable touch my lips for a month after I got Alfredo. But that wasn't the only thing I used that doll for. I found out that he made a really excellent comic book stand too. I have to admit, after a few months, I got really attached to that doll. Since I didn't have a pet, it was kind of nice to have something to take care of for once. But one day I came home from school and I couldn't find Alfredo anywhere. I researched the house from the top to the bottom, but there was no trace of him. And the only thing I could think of was that I dropped Alfredo at some point and hadn't noticed. I was pretty torn up about losing my doll, but what I really worried about was mom thinking I couldn't be trusted around my new baby brother. So I got a grapefruit out of the fridge and drew a face on it with the marker. Then I wrapped the grapefruit in a dish towel, and for the next 3 months I pretended it was my doll. Mom and Dad didn't seem to notice, but I was terrified by the idea that the real Alfredo was gonna find his way back home and get his revenge on me for abandoning him and replacing him with a fruit. In fact, I still worry about that to this day. It's the reason I always check to make sure my window is locked before I go to bed at night. I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I actually got attached to that grapefruit too. But after a while, it started to rot, and Dad traced the weird smell back to my Alfredo's decor. Mom didn't seem too upset that I'd lost my doll, but I will say she never left me alone in the house with Manny for more than 15 minutes. Like I said though, it was nice to have something to take care of, and I miss that feeling. So these days I've been spending a lot of time playing this game called Night Critters. In fact, I've been playing Night Critters every free second I get. The basic idea is that you have to feed your pet and keep it happy. And if your pet is happy, you get tokens so you can buy it clothes and furniture and stuff like that. I've paid so much that my pet chihuahua has a mansion with the indoor swimming pool and bowling alley and about 150 different outfits. The only thing I'm not happy about is his name. Mom is the one who set up my account and I can't figure out how to change the name she registered with. Mom says I take better care of my virtual pet than I do myself, and I guess I can't argue with her there. Over the weekend, I'm playing for 16 hours without taking a break to go to bathroom. But if you don't keep getting your pet new stuff, it starts to look unhappy, and that really stresses me out. The problem is you can only earn a certain number of tokens, and after that, you have to buy them with real money. Unfortunately, I don't have my own credit card, so that means I have to beg mom and dad to use theirs. But it's not really easy to convince dad to break up his wallet so you can buy a fancy outfit for your virtual pet. This year, I'm gonna ask a bunch of Netcutter cash for Christmas, but I'm still trying to figure out what to put on the rest of my wish list so I could actually got a lot of different things best of couple of weeks ago when I spent the night at the hospital getting my tolerance out. Manny sold half of everything I owned, but I'm not sure I should ask for a normal gift like a video game or a toy this year. What I've realized is that every time you get something cool for your birthday or for Christmas within a week, it's been using against you. One thing I know for sure is that this year I'm only accepting store-bought presents. Last Christmas, mom gave me a really nice handy kitchen blanket, and I got that thing wrapped around me for half of the winters. But I found a picture of the same like in our great uncle Bruce, who passed away a few years ago, so I pawned it off on Roderick for his birthday. Sunday. I was gonna play that critters all weekend, but yesterday mom said the amount of time I'm spending playing the game is unhealthy. And then I had to interact with a real life person. So I called up Rolly and asked him to come over, even though I was still bothered by the whole skipping thing. When Rolly got to my home, we sat in the front of the TV to play video games, but mom said we should to shut off the machine and interact face to face. But one thing that makes my friendship with Rolly work is that he doesn't mind watching me play video games. Plus, the reason our ancestors invented technology in the first place was so they didn't have to interact with one another. Mom sent me and Rolly down to the basement, and the two of us tried to figure out what to do. I'd asked Rolly to bring some DVDs with him so we could stay up late watching movies. But he only bought home movies, and you couldn't blame me to watch those. Mom bought us then the wacky sentence books where you fill in the blanks to create funny phrases. For the first round, Rolly came up with the words and I wrote them down in the blanks. 10 phrases we made were actually pretty funny, but what wasn't funny was Rolly's new habit of saying LOL instead of laughing. It was really driving me crazy, so we switched roles and I came up with the words instead. Rolly started by asking me the words instead. Rolly started by asking me for the words of the sport, so I said volleyball, but he told me it's volleyball with a B. So then we got into a huge argument about what letter volleyball starts with. I found a dictionary and handed it to Rolly and told him to look it for himself. But instead of flipping to the letters, we Rolly read every single word in the B section. And when he couldn't find volleyball, he started from the beginning. They accused me of having an outdated dictionary and said that's why volleyball wasn't in it. So then we got into an argument about what year volleyball was invented. By this point, Rolly was really getting on my nerves, and I realized we'd better change gears or we were going to end up fighting as usual. I told Rolly maybe we should do something different, and he said he wanted to play hide and seek. But the problem with playing hide and seek with Rolly is that he can't. He thinks that when he can't see you, you can't see him. So that makes him easy to find. I decided we just need a break from each other, so I came up with an idea. I told Rowley we were gonna see who was braver, me or him, and we stepped out the sliding glass door. Each of us had to walk into the woods and write our names on the tree fort we built last summer. And whoever clicked out was wrong about volleyball and had to call that guy sir for the rest of his life. Rowley seemed to think that it was a fair deal. I told Rowley I'd go first and I'd walk through the woods, but as soon as I knew he couldn't see me, I ran round the front door of my house. There's no way I was gonna go into those woods by myself at night. I had written my name on the tree fort when me and Roy had built it over summer, and that's the reason I came up with the deer.